Hello, Steve Schneeberger again. I often get the question from sellers, what if I don't want to do these fixes? What if I don't want to spend the money to make these repairs? Can I just sell my house as is? The short answer to that question is yes, you can. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly how the process works. So I'm on the city website. I've logged on here and I've gotten to the point of sale inspections page. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to find some PDF attachments and you want to go to the housing cash escrow agreement. Basically, how this works is that this agreement is going to be made between the buyer of the home and the city of Richfield. It doesn't involve the title company per se because they don't hold the escrow. The city of Richfield holds it. There's a $50 fee to set up the escrow. The escrow itself is $1,000 minimum or 25% of all of the cost of the items that have to be repaired as required by the inspector. In my experience, and I've done some of these over the years, usually it's just $1,000, but it's a minimum. Now, the thing is, from the seller's standpoint, the seller will have to put up the escrow of $1,000, but the funds get released to the buyer at the point where they have completed their repairs and had the city sign off on it. So I'll give you a couple quick examples. One is I had a seller that needed to paint some peeling paint on the exterior, and they're trying to sell their house in December. Obviously it's kind of tough to paint outside when it's 0 degrees. So what the seller did is they decided they would hold an escrow, and then the buyer agreed. And this is the other key thing, is the buyer has to agree to do this. It's not something the seller can just randomly say, I'm not going to do this, and the buyer has to agree to it. It has to be mutual. So in this case, the sellers put up the $1,000 minimum, and then the buyer is going to be painting the exterior when the weather improves, and either the buyer can hire their contractor to do it or they can do it themselves. And as long as it passes the city, they'll have the city come back out there, re-inspect it, and then at that point, the city will issue the buyer, the new homeowner, the certificate of maintenance compliance. And if there's any leftover escrow, that money goes back to the buyer. So you can see where that might become a little bit of a challenge for a seller. And let's say that the painting job only costs $250, or the homeowner just decides, hey, I can slap some paint on the wall for the cost of the paint. That homeowner is going to get that $1,000. So that's one big thing to consider as a seller, is you will not be able to get any remaining escrow back from that. Now, the benefit to doing this, and I've seen this happen over the years, is say you're selling mom and dad's house, and you live out in Seattle, your sibling lives in Washington, D.C., you're trying to achieve this goal of selling the home kind of from afar, and you're really busy with your lives. I've seen this be a tool that people use in this instance too, where they will work with the buyer and put up the escrow, and then the folks that are trying to manage this from afar, they don't have to manage contractors coming in and doing the work. So it can definitely be beneficial in that scenario. The one thing I would just say though is just make sure that your realtor is communicating that the buyer is going to be responsible for the city repairs when they are marketing your home, so that there aren't any surprises that come up during the negotiation of the offer. But anyway, this is what the form looks like. It's just a quick 2-page form. It just basically says here's the $1,000. There's also a $50 escrow fee to set it up, and that's non-refundable, $50 non-refundable fee. And then the re-inspection schedule for 60 days from closing. There is some flexible room in that. The city will say, obviously if you're closing in January, you have to paint your peeling paint. You can't get out there till May. They're not going to hold you to it. But it's up to the buyer to call them back out and have them sign off on everything and kind of tie the loop together. So there you have it. If you have any specific questions about how this works that I didn't cover or are unclear about it, feel free to click on the red box up on the top. I'd be happy to answer those questions personally. And other than that, that's the cash escrow agreement.